I remember that day when Sonam was standing at the door of our so called office. My mom and I had just opened a spa, and I was still in high school at that time. Sonam was one of our two employees and had just joined 8 weeks ago. She stood in the doorway to tell my mom and I that she would no longer be able to work for us anymore. I was working on a flyer design and was busy focusing on that. Hearing that, I looked up and thought, oh my God, how are we going to be able to manage? That was my first thought. I could sense anxiety building in me just thinking of logistics. I looked over to my mom, and she was very, very calm. She asked Sonam to come in and have a seat. She offered her a glass of water and some candies. And then, in a very gentle voice, asked her, what's going on? Sonam was able to express to my mom the challenges of living in a traditional extended family. And since joining work for past 8 weeks, her sister-in-law, who has been living with her, has had to take more chores at home. Feeling the pressure of family and also feeling the guilt of not being able to contribute fully to the family was really, really taking a toll on her. My mom talked about her coming from a traditional family and relating to that feeling of not being able to fully contribute. My mom talked about and asked her what it felt leaving home and coming to work, how the past 8 weeks had been for her. Sonam talked about how this is her first job and she had never ever worked prior to this. She talked about how she learned the skill of being a beautician in high school, not thinking she would ever earn money using the skill, but more as a hobby. She talked about coming from a traditional family where girls have a role more in the house and not in the outside workforce. Mom listened to her carefully and again asked, but how did it really feel? Sonam talked about a feeling of independence, a feeling of joy, a feeling of pride. She shared a moment when, with the money she earned from tips by doing waxing and facials and eyebrows, she bought a red small teddy bear for her 2-year-old son. He was excited, and the joy and pride she felt in that moment. My mom asked, how do you think your sister-in-law felt, given that she wasn't able to do the same? Sonam was able to reflect on that and was able to express that maybe not so good. My mom told Sonam that she would support her in any decision that she makes, but she did advise Sonam to maybe help her sister-in-law grow as well and come up with an arrangement where both her sister-in-law and her can contribute to the household, but in different moments in time. Sonam went back home and talked to her sister-in-law and came up with a plan where her sister-in-law would manage the household and care for the kids for breakfast and lunch, and Sonam will assume responsibility for dinners and weekends. Sonam worked for us for many years to come and eventually became the manager of that spa. The very important leadership lesson I learned that day was, for leaders, it's so important to invest in people. Leadership is not about just the success of the organization, but also the success of the people. Individual growth, investing in people so that people follow you, that you are authentically concerned about each person's growth.